Yo, van life. That's our gang symbol, you guys.
Life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold an obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11 is...
Hi everyone, it's Julia, and I just wanted to do a video off the cuff right now. I hope you all are doing well today, and thanks for coming to my channel. I think a lot about van life. I really do. I live in a van, and I've done a van life channel since 2015. And you're going to hear some cars and stuff. Sorry about that, but everybody's rushing to get a spot for the sunset, the beautiful sunset. We've had a beautiful blue, warm day here in Humboldt County, here at the end of January, so we're very grateful. Van life, it's such a weird thing that there's even a term called van life, And when I started my channel and got in my second van, 2016, when I started that phase of van life, there wasn't a hashtag van life. There wasn't even a van life. There was living in a van and then a few others, and that was it. And then this thing grew up, and it's so weird because van life's like this rogue thing. Oh my God. It was so fascinating to go to these channels and watch people's lives living in their vans, And it was really so unique, and we didn't even have sprinters back then. Back in the day, we used to have to drive our vans through 20 miles of snow and not even standing up. Yeah, sprinters didn't exist. Companies that do build outs of vans didn't exist. I mean, this hasn't happened since the 70s and all of those vans, So this has been quite a revolution that's happened over the last 17, 18, 19, 20. Nearly a decade, I'd say. And also very strangely, it's one of the reasons I don't know what is van life, because now it's changed so much. So then we went through this period where everybody started moving into vans. And there was this middle period where all of these channels, all of these people living in vans, and then you get Eamon and Beck, and this was the high point of van life, because now there's more people living in vans and even more channels. But that was when it was peaking, and it was these channels were getting so huge. And many of those people, Eamon and Beck, and of course Max and Lee, unfortunately with Lee taking her own life, really, really sad. But these big channels, a lot of them went, minimalist millennials, a lot of them went and lived in cabins, went and built cabins and started homesteading. It's a natural progression from van life to homesteading, So many people have done that. But then we went into this third era of van life, which is the era we're in now, where it's I often ask my question, what is the point of having a van life channel at this point? Because people know so much about van life. All of you people watching out there have watched for so long, too, that you give us advice now on what to do in our vans, no matter how long we've been doing it. And it's how many different vans can we see? One of the most popular things now is simply van tours. Of course, that's the most awesome. And I'd say the other vein of van life is basically people who are watching individuals who they like and their lifestyle. It's not so much about the van anymore. It is about that, but the van's sort of taking these people to different places to see all the different places and how they're functioning there. But it's really about the person. So it's either van tours, build outs, or sort of van life vlogs on people's lives. I think that's where we're at now. And I think, van life is still interesting to watch because there are so many developments in van life, in the technology of solar and living off the grid, and in building out vans and what you can do with them. At this point, you can have, probably an elevator in a van. I kind of joke about that sometimes. There's just so much you could do. It rivals what happened at the Grateful Dead with all of these buses and vans that they were turning into houses. And if you've never seen that, try Googling hippie school bus, Grateful Dead tour, Grateful Dead lot, Grateful Dead show. it'll be hard to get past the live music and into seeing some of the fans and the parking lots and these buses and these vehicles they transformed. But today it's more like, it's higher tech, it's more minimalist, it's obviously much less hippie, but it's like another revolution in the development of van life and being nomadic, living in a vehicle and traveling. Yeah, it's really interesting, and I've struggled a lot with whether I still wanted to do a van life channel in terms of showing you my van life. But for me in particular, when I'm in just one area, it's kind of like, well, here we are again in this area. It's wonderful, it's beautiful, but here we are again. Here's us running on this path again. And there's endless places to go here, and I'll always be showing you beautiful scenery of where I go. But yeah, it's just a really interesting place to be with van life. And of course, a lot of new people have come up starting their van lives, a year ago or even today. And many, many people are still watching it. So it's still an interesting thing, van life. Another thing I've been thinking about, how different van life or living in a van is from RVs, living in an RV or a school bus. And then even within van life, the difference between like a Sprinter you can stand in and an older van that you can't. I mean, that's like a whole different world. And whether or not you have a kitchen is huge. I just went outside and sprayed my little coffee plate and spoon that I use to get the grains off. I just use my spray bottle, outside the door. Someone who has a kitchen is not hanging out the side of their door, spraying down, cups, which makes it so much more obvious that you're living in a van. It gives people the impression that you may also throw your trash out there or poop out there or whatever, even if you're just spraying down a plate. Or that your soap is biodegradable. They don't know that when you dump that out, So it's like a world of difference. And I was thinking about just between van life and RVs, how different it is, because a lot of the communities come together over nomadism, over living in vehicles, over, van life, So we're all sort of in this same community. There's a lot of snowbirds, going down south and then coming up north in the warm season, and, the RTR and all of the things that bring us together as a community. But when you think about it, van life is really so much different than RV life. It's like a whole different world. And I can tell you, especially an experience I had the other night. Great. That's it. Run your generator at 3 a.m. Got to get that work done in the middle of the night. Oh, it is. They're just shining their light over here at our window, too. Wonder who's trying to sleep in that van. Oh. Perfect parking spot, too. Ah. If you have a van and an RV, and the RV's misbehaving, the generator's running, or they're fighting, or it's just gross and they have stuff all out like that, they win. They basically win. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about that. Or even if it's a nice RV, but they're running their generator or whatever, or blocking the sun. Living in an RV is such a different lifestyle. I mean, it's basically a home on wheels. For real. You know what I mean? Like, there's a shower, there's a kitchen. It's like a whole big room you're walking around in, Bigger than many apartments I've rented. So that is really, really different. And I don't want to knock RVs. I'm not saying, poo-poo on RVs at all. I'm just saying it's very different than van life. And at the same time, a van is so agile and movable and much more stealth, if stealth is even a thing anymore. And speaking of stealth isn't really a thing anymore. Everybody knows that we're living in a van. Even if you're not living in a van like this, people will assume someone's living in a van like this, just because there's so many people living in vans now. So really, like, the landscape of van life and nomadism has really, really changed. I often think about it like the Grateful Dead. Like, the Grateful Dead was this thing before where by the 80s, before Touch of Grey came out, you could wear a Steal Your Face, that's one of the symbols if you don't know, on your shirt, and nobody would know what it was except for, like, what's that weird skull? Thinking it's like probably some death metal, symbol or something. But then post Touch of Grey, as the community grew and grew and grew and grew and grew, and to today, now everybody knows what the Grateful Dead is. They might not know what it really was like, but they've heard of it. And it's so widespread that, when the Grateful Dead had their 50-year anniversary, sort of the final concert without Jerry, but that was in 2015. When they played U.S. Blues they were in Chicago. In New York City, they flashed red, white, and blue lights to the music at the top of the Empire State Building. This is how widespread the Grateful Dead is in the United States. It's from coast to coast, top to bottom, Deadheads everywhere, Deadheads in every field, from judges to biologists to, everybody, to students and young people to elders, Deadheads everywhere. And the fact that it went from this thing that was unknown and sort of like our thing, to worldwide recognition, is kind of like van life is now. We're in that state now where everybody knows what it is. And I still meet people where I'm like, have you ever looked up van life? Most people have. A few haven't. And even people are like, I'm thinking of doing that. And I'm like, have you seen van life, like on YouTube? And they're like, no, or they've seen it on Instagram, but not YouTube. Like they have a whole world to delve into now, like 8 years or something of van life videos, and they can certainly get all the ideas they want for a van build that you could ever want. So yeah, van life is such a trip. Like we have our own title, #vanlife, or just van life, capital V, capital L. And I have to say, after living 6 years in vans, that it's a real up and down thing, Sometimes you really like it and sometimes you don't. And I think in the beginning of anybody's transition into van life or nomadism in general, but particularly this smaller vehicle living. And if you're living in a car, of course, this isn't smaller. But when you first jump in, it's always exciting in the beginning, just like anything new is going to be. And particularly this lifestyle, because you're moving to different places. Also very scary, but you settle in, and after a while, you sort of get in the groove of everything, and then you make changes, and then you have some hard times, you have some really good times, and then you move into an era where you inevitably become fed up with van life. Inevitably, this happens to everybody. It's just like too much at some point. Maybe a few things break down, a few things aren't working, and it all sort of comes together. Like the weather's bad for a long time, or the police are hassling you nonstop, or, there's a pandemic or whatever. And there comes a time when you just get over it. And I can tell you, if you get over that lump and, whenever that lump comes, you can continue to live your van life and you're going to get back into the joy of it. And it's always going to be changing, At this point, I'm pretty seasoned in van life. So to me, at this point, it doesn't seem like that unusual of a thing. I do like to share how it's really, it is minimalism, it is living frugally, it is living by the seat of your pants still, even with all the build-outs, even with all the technology, even with all the, glam of van life. It is still a rogue way to live, for sure. Everybody who's in a van, and especially all these beautiful women, this van life has coincided with a lot of female retirees who are now divorced and on their own. And many of these women in this particular era came from an era where there was more coupling, marriages stayed together, and the men worked and women stayed at home. So a lot of these women come out into the world, very brave. All of these women out there, you guys, I'm a little bit younger than that. I'm just like some rogue hippie. But you women who have lived like basically a normal standard, life, like in a house and in one area and been married and had children and maybe had your careers or whatever, but now you're stepping out into this van life. It's just amazing. This is sort of coincided with this van life opportunity where all these women are seeking this new level of freedom. And for all of you and all of us to be going out there and taking the risks that we do and facing our fears and being women doing our build outs. Like there's a lot of women that are like, I don't know how to do anything, but I built out this van. It's like so awesome. I really think of you guys as warriors, all of you out there, all of you women out there. And also the men, like I say, it's a rogue lifestyle for everybody. But yeah, we're warriors. We're still warriors. Even though van life is popular, we're still warriors out here living in vehicles. It's crazy, but it's normal too. But it's crazy. But it's pretty lived in by now. But it's still fresh and new. So if you're thinking about doing van life, I do encourage you to do it. And we're going to have a beautiful sunset here out the many windows of the van. We're parked in this beautiful marsh. Let me show you. By the way, this is my, got my old phone back with the camera that I like. And as you can probably tell, it is much better quality. And it is also uploading in HD quality on YouTube, which it's supposed to be doing anyway. Look, there's another warrior over there in their van. Oh! One more thing I forgot to mention. I've decided to keep my Patreon, which you can find the link below. And what's happening now is my Patreon's becoming kind of a van life vlog. It's becoming where I show you little parts of our day in and out of the van and just give you little updates before anybody else knows about what's going on with us and give you more insight into the personal experience. So go over there and check it out. If you want to see more of everyday van life from me, go become a patron and support this channel and enjoy yourself over there with that additional content. All right? So thanks, everyone, for watching our video today, and I'm wishing you a beautiful day. Bye. Yo. Van life. Wait. Yo, van life.
Life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold an obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. Now leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11, 11.